I think 4 X-ray 5 India Charlie. Very good afternoon to you, old man. My name is Mark. That's Mike Alpha Romeo Kilo. Excuse me. And I'm 20 kilometers southeast from the city of London. So back to you, and I'll give you a report on the next over. 4 X-ray 5 India Charlie. This is Mike 0 Juliet Charlie Foxtrot.
Mike 0 Juliet Charlie Foxtrot 4x5 India Charlie. Good afternoon, Mark. Thank you for coming to my call. You are 5-6 with me. 5-6. The name here is Mike. Mike India Kilo Echo. QTH about 35 kilometers north to Tel Aviv. City called Netanya. How copy?
Yeah, very good afternoon, Mike. 35 kilometers north of Tel Aviv. And copying you 5 and 3 today. Thank you for the 5 and 6. Got you 5 and 3 today. Some QSB on 10 meters today, but you're nice and clear. Today, Mike, I'm using an IC-7300 by ICOM. I'm using just 100 watts from the radio, and my antenna is a very simple antenna, just a 5/8 wave vertical antenna, about 8 meters. The base of it about 8 meters from the ground. So back to you, Mike. 4 X-ray 5 India Charlie, Mike 0 Juliet Charlie Foxtrot.
Mike 0 Juliet Charlie Foxtrot 4x5 India Charlie. Roger, roger. I'm also running ICOM, but the model is 756 Pro 100 watts, and the dipole antenna on the roof of the building is about 45 meters above the ground, in the proximity of about 500 meters from the seashore of the Mediterranean. Over.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. Yeah, your dipole's working very well now. You peaked about 5 and 5 to 5 and 6. I think the band is now starting to open for more DX during the day. It's been a very quiet summer on 10 meters. I've had a few contacts from your region, from the Middle East and Israel, Lebanon, those sort of places, as always. But today the band has been opening to North America, which is always the way. As we come out of summer and we enter the autumn and winter, I find that the propagation direction does change. I'll give you some whiskey X-ray today. I'm sure it's cooler than it is in Tel Aviv or around Tel Aviv, but we've got about 24 degrees today. It's 30 degrees centigrade in my shack, but it's about 24, 23 degrees outside. Broken clouds, lots of sunshine. Mike, back to you.
Yeah, roger, roger. Well, my weather conditions here are much hotter. I wish for 24. My air condition is broken right now, and I have it 29 degrees centigrade inside my house right now with 87% of humidity. It's very hot and very wet, and it's about 5:16 p.m. right now, at the beginning of the evening. And yeah, I had 10 meters contact today with the United States, with North America, also with Sardinia, Switzerland, and England. Another contact, Roy, Golf 0 Oscar Victor Kilo. I had a QSO with him about 30 minutes ago. Golf Mike 0 Juliet Charlie Fox 4 X-ray 5 India Charlie.
Yeah, 4x5 ICM0 JCF returning. Absolutely fantastic, Mike. And hopefully we'll get many more contacts on 10 meters and 12 meters. That's where I operate mainly, Mike. Especially in the winter, while we're near solar maximum, you'll find me calling CQ on 10 and 12 meters. I'm not sure if we worked before. It's quite possible that we have, and I'm just about to check QRZ for you to see if we've worked before, and apparently not. So this is a first time for us, so that makes it all the more interesting and special that I get you in the logbook today, Mike. Back to you.
Roger, roger. Mike 0 JCF 4x5 IC. Yeah, it's our first contact. I'm actually working on all the bands from 10 to 40 meters. My front dipole for 10, 20 and 40 is resonant on all the other bands as well, so with some little help from my tuner. So no problem at all works. You can find me on all the other bands, 15, 17, 20. The most beloved band for me is 20 meters, is the most quiet band for me. I have zero noise on 20 meters. I can open up 20 meters anytime and it will be right on the zero. The needle will be on the zero, no noise at all, so I can hear very good all the other stations, no problem. 1 o'clock at night, I get North America and South America open up on 20 meters. Pretty good propagation. And yeah, the summer is hot, 10 meters was very much close for me. Up until 1 week ago when it started to open up, I believe mid-September it will be wide open and we will have a great propagation on 10 meters. Back to you, Mike 0, Julia Charlie Fox, 4x5 IC.
Yeah, 4x5 ICM0 JCF returning. Well, the propagation's certainly working now, Mike. You were peaking 5 and 8 that time, and I was hoping that I could give you a 5 and 9. I'm sure that would happen. You know, we're different radios, they have different metering anyway. It depends on the radio, but this IC-7300 seems to be quite accurate. Interestingly, it doesn't matter what radio I use, everyone's signal always seems to be a few S points lower than mine, so my receive antenna isn't as good as everyone else's antenna. It doesn't matter whether it's Middle East, Europe, Russia, North America, South America. I always seem to give people reports that are at least 2 S points lower than mine. So it's not the radios, it's definitely the antenna. But I am using a very simple antenna. And you know what, I think I've been telling people that I think that what I may well do, I have a 2 meter band beam. It's a 9-element beam and I never use it, so I'm thinking of removing the 9-element 2 meter band antenna and I'll replace it with a 3-element for maybe 12 or 15 meters. Now 20 meters is a very good band, very good DX band, Mike, but I very, very rarely use 20 meters these days. I find too many big, powerful stations on there, and it's just, you know, it gets very, very crowded with the big stations. I like to operate on the higher bands. I do operate 15 meters as well, so you know, maybe we'll work each other on 12 or 15 meters, but as I say, unlikely I would be on 20. In the evenings I do quite often work 40 meters and 80 meters, so I do like the lower bands, but for those bands I'm using just a wire antenna, a random wire antenna with a tuner, so it's not high enough off the ground for really good DX. Now on 40 meters I have worked Kuwait several times on 40 meters, and also into Russia, the same sort of distance, Asiatic Russia. So I know 40 meters I could make Israel, but I'm not sure. I've never worked Israel yet on 40, as I say, just Kuwait a few times on 40 meters. So you never know, I may work you on the lower bands there, Mike. 4 X-ray 5, India Charlie, Mike 0, Juliet Charlie Foxtrot.
Mike 0, JCF 4x5 IC. Yeah, Roger. Anyway, you can take my email from the QRZ.com page and email me. Maybe I will be available at the shack and try to contact you on the 40 meters, no problem. On any band from 10 to 40, I can try any of them. It works just fine, no problem at all. And about your antenna, first of all, I would like you to suggest you to try NFET half-wave antenna with 49 to 1 anon. There is a great Facebook group. It's called the Real NFET Half-Wave Antenna. It's an excellent group on Facebook. I got the design of the antenna from there. I created one. It's installed in inverted L configuration. You get 1.2 meters your anon, then you go up 8 meters, and then you go aside another 20 meters. The whole antenna is 20 meters wire. I'm running this as my portable setup, and I made contact with VK5 from Israel, from the middle of the forest, in the middle of nowhere, with 20 whiskey on CQ10m G90. I made contact with VK5. Can you imagine that? Over.
That sounds absolutely fantastic. Well, you know, I've actually used a half-wave end-fed with a 49:1 unun, but I think once again I just wasn't getting the horizontal section high enough. It was working fantastic for Europe, and it was working fantastic for for the inter-G, you know, and Ireland and Scandinavia. I just wasn't making the distance with it. But the wire that I've got, it's a random wire. It's 27 meters long in total. It's an inverted U, and I'm using a 9:1 unun. And as I say, it, you know, it's great for what I need. You know, I'm not a big DX chaser, Mike, so I'm not overly worried about the lower band performance. I just like we're doing now, I like a good ragchew rather than just 5 and 973, 5 and 973 and some other number, you know, 5 and 9 001 002. I do that if it, you know, if it's a new country for me on a new band, but otherwise, you know, I am not into that. I like to have the conversations that we're having now. So yeah, I hear what you're saying, and I do understand, and maybe I'll check that Facebook group, and yeah, it sounds very interesting. I think I will pursue a 10 or 15 meter band, 3-element beam, maybe a 2-element beam, when I replace the 2 meter band beam. My wife hates that antenna anyway. She gives it all sorts of awful names, but you know, she thinks it looks like something that should be in a gymnasium for people to climb across. So maybe if I put up just a 2 or 3 element beam, although the elements are larger, there's not so many of them. So I have to keep her happy as well there, Mike. Back to you.
Yeah, Roger, Mike. I completely understand you. My wife, lucky for me, she doesn't see the antenna because I live in the public building of 9 floors, and I'm on the 3rd floor, and the antenna is above the 9th floor and another 10 meters of mast. So my wife actually doesn't see the antenna, she only sees the shack. The shack is in the middle of the living room because my kids grew up and they took all the rooms in the apartment, so I didn't have any other choices but move to the middle of the living room. Actually, I'm a pretty new ham. I'm only 1 year licensed from August 16 like last year, so I'm 1 year and 1 week licensed in ham, and I already made 173 countries. I do like reacting, and I do like ragchewing. I have no problem with both. Sometimes, you know, you're in the mood to make new countries, and I really enjoy pile-up. Tell me something, did you manage to work the Dead Sea Expedition 4X-ray 2 Delta Sierra? It was a couple of months ago, over?
Negative on that. 4X-ray 2 Delta Sierra. No, I didn't work that. And you know, I belong to a radio club, and they're always passing messages of the DXpeditions and the various activations. And you know, very rarely do I chase them. But regarding that one, 4X-ray 2 Delta Sierra, no, Mike, I didn't. Back to you.
Yeah, Roger. It's just I was activating there as the youngest ham radio operator in the group, and I made the most contacts of the whole group. I made 1,300 contacts during 4 days. Over.
Absolutely fantastic. Well, congratulations on your 1 year birthday as a ham. You know what, Mike, I've only been licensed since 2017, but I got my 3 licenses, my foundation, intermediate and my full UK license very quickly. The reason being is I actually failed my exam in 1978. So you can see I'm not an old man. I'm only 61, but you know, I've been interested in radio since 1974 when I built my first ever radio, and I started shortwave listening way back then. As I say, I was still a teenager when I took the license, 1978. I was about 15 years old, but I really didn't have the technical knowledge to pass the exam. And I just went through life interested in shortwave listening, building radios, and of course some piracy. You know, I was doing some pirate radio on 11 meters, 45 meters, etc. And it wasn't until 2016 that I started transmitting again after a long disappearance from the hobby as a transmitter. And then I decided, you know, instead of just messing around with one or two bands, let's get the license. And of course now I have the technical knowledge, because you know I did lots of technical jobs before I retired, so that's why I was very late getting my license. You've certainly got more countries than me. I have 146 under my full license, and in total I have about 160, 165 in total across all three licenses. So you can see you're definitely more DX than me. As I say, I like to talk to people, so pile-up's not for me. If I enter a pile-up, I'll give it 5 minutes, and if I haven't made that contact, I shrug my shoulders and go and cook dinner or something like that, Mike. Back to you, 4X5 IC M0 JCF.
M0 JCF 4X5 IC. Yeah, Roger, I completely understand you. Yeah, it's it feels like a sport to me. At the beginning, when I started, I came to the air first time October 24 or something like this. I was at my friend's home, pretty far away. It's about 2 hours drive. I went especially to see his shack, and then he said, well, you have your license already, let's try to work. He turned it on, and I immediately made 2 contacts on 40 meters with some Russian stations. I speak 3 languages pretty good, English, Russian and Hebrew, so it was very easy to make contact with Russian stations. They were the only available 40 meters at that time, so I just made that contact, and you know, I started just like I was pinched in my behind. It's nice, let's continue. And actually I got my license about 7 days before my actual birthday, so the 2 events are pretty close. The license is 16 August and my birthday is August 23. So I made myself a present for the birthday. I was interested in electronics and building radios and all that stuff when I was about 13 years old, and I was living in Uzbekistan, a city called Tashkent. I was brought to Israel when I was 14 in 1990. You're speaking about 1974. I wasn't even born. I was born in 1975 and brought to Israel in 1990 as a 14-year-old teenager. So I grew up here in Israel for my whole life, actually. And you know, when you go to a new country, you don't even have the time or the opportunity to do any hobbies. As a teenager, you have to learn another language. You have to complete the high school. You have to go to the defense forces, the army, and all that stuff. Then you have to learn university. Then you marry, you have kids, and so on. So I found myself at age 48 coming back to things I really like to do. Once it was at the beginning RC airplanes. You can see on QRZ.com my photo on QRZ.com. It's me with my big airplane. Actually, then I was hurt at my back and I couldn't pick them up. All the planes are pretty heavy, about 20 kilograms, and I have to take 2 floors, all the planes by hand. in the stairs to the car, and then my back was hurt, and I couldn't bear the pain, so I had to sell all those. And then I said, wait a minute, you were liking a radio, let's go make a license. Then one of my friends from the RC airplanes told me, this is the link, go learn and make the license. And this is how I came to it from the beginning. It's a really big journey, it's a really interesting one. I really like the acting, yeah, of course I do like the acting. But to have a rickshaw from time to time with somebody that is interesting in the hobby just as you are, and they have something to say, it's really, really nice, Mark. Back to you, M0 JCF 4X5 IC.
Yeah, 4X5 IC M0 JCF returning. You know what, Mike? As soon as you said check your QRZ page, and I did. I've just logged you on QRZ. I then clicked, and I see that fantastic aircraft that you've got there. Tell me, is that a gas turbine or is that ducted fan with smoke effects? I'm hoping that you're going to tell me it's a real gas turbine engine. They were fantastic when they started coming out in the late 80s. The miniature one, I think it was JPX, were one of the first companies to bring out gas turbines for model aircraft. I built a few gas turbines using car turbochargers, but they would never be anywhere near small enough to put in an aircraft. I do have some radio controlled aircraft, but mine use internal combustion engines, as in glow plug and methanol fuel. So just standard internal combustion engine. So I do have a trainer model in my garage. I haven't flown it for many years. In fact, I keep trying to sell it to people, but no one wants to buy it because it's all completely homemade. It's built from scratch. It's not from a kit. It flies quite well. It's not fantastic. It's slow. It's maneuverable, but I just don't have the time for it anymore. If you check my QRZ page, you can see in addition to the radio, I've spent most of my life racing motorcycles one way or another. I've done Speedway, which is the oval track in the UK. I've also done road racing in the 1980s. There's a very famous track very close to me called Brands Hatch, and I used to race there, but I used to race a lot of tracks in the UK in the 1980s until a big accident in 1986. I then just carried on riding on the road but not racing, and then in 2009 I started drag racing motorcycles, the standing start quarter mile. And in that photograph on my QRZ page, you'll see that was the drag bike, the final one that I built for myself. And it was 340 brake horsepower Suzuki with a turbocharger. And yeah, it just reminds me, full circle, I used turbochargers to build just demonstration jet engines, and it turned around that I started using a turbocharger for what it was for, so produce power. So yeah, the question was, and sorry for the long over, the question was, is that a gas turbine engine in that model? Back to you, sir.
Roger. Yeah, first of all, they're not using the gas turbines anymore. It's a real kerosene turbine. It works on kerosene fuel. We were going to the airfield and buying some jet fuel from there in a big jerrycan for 20 or 25 liters each, and then adding some two-strokes oil to it, so the turbine needs in order to operate properly. And yeah, it is a real turbine engine. For this one, as you see on the picture, it's a 13 Newton engine, and I have another one that I still didn't sell. It's an Albatros L39, a big plane. It's even bigger than this one. It's 2.82 meters. It's a huge one, and it's a real scale model, and it's just incredible in the air, and it's slow flyer and makes all kinds of aerobatics. It's a very nice one, but I cannot even pick it up from the wall, from the storage, because it's too heavy for my back. If I lift it up, I will be lying for 2 or 3 days with back pain. This is the reason I left. And the big one I'm using is 16 kilonewtons. It's a huge plane. The turbine is 100 cc. This is what they call. But it's actually 16 Newton for turbine, and the small one is 13 Newton. The gas turbines were pretty old ones. They were starting by gas, but actually they work on kero fuel. It's like diesel, but it's more clean, and it has anti-static and anti-freeze inside it. So yeah, it's a real turbine model, and I really love that. And up until I couldn't even bear them anymore with my dad. About the motorcycle, yeah, I can see that it's very, very, very nice. I always love to watch motorcycle races, track races and drag races, but I never did have the cojones, Chai, to ride one. I saw a big accident when I was young. I saw a big accident with motorcycles involved, and it made a trauma for me, so I cannot even make myself go near the motorcycle. I can only watch, but I think it's enough. Thanks for you, Mike 0, JCF4X5 IC.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying, Mike. Yeah, I don't ride anymore. I don't race. I don't ride. And in fact, I gave up drag racing. My youngest daughter, when she was a teenager, she was drag racing motorcycles as well. So in the end, I gave up to give her a better chance so that we didn't have to spend so much money on two of us racing. I mean, she's 24 now, so my youngest daughter, she's 24. So, you know, she doesn't drag race anymore anyway. And then I ended up selling everything. The roads here are just too dangerous to be riding, especially fast motorcycles. I do enjoy it. I don't enjoy the danger anymore, you know, on the roads. The track, no problem, but the roads here in the southeast of England, far too dangerous, too many idiots, you know, and I suppose sometimes as well I could also be the idiot. And yeah, that's what I meant when I meant gas turbine. I meant as opposed to a ducted fan engine, which is driven by internal combustion engine. Yeah, I suspected it would run on kerosene or jet fuel or something like that. My homemade turbocharger gas turbines, I used to run those on just diesel fuel. In fact, any fuel. You could run them on just about anything. We used to start them with air from a leaf blower, so you blow air into the front of the compressor and then get a spark plug running so that it would ignite the fuel, and eventually it would start to run and self-sustain. But it was just for the fun of the noise, the smoke, the smell, you know. I never did anything with them other than just make a lot of noise and a lot of mess. And that was in the 1990s, maybe earlier than that, that a few of us were building those engines. And you know, some people still build them now, and they power go-karts and bicycles and things like that with them. But I am very impressed, as I say, with the model gas turbine engines. And as you say, a lot of them, they used to start them on propane or butane gas and then switch over to a liquid fuel. So yeah, that's what I meant when I said gas turbine. I meant, you know, liquid fuel, but it sounds like you had some really beautiful machines. I still watch the videos on YouTube, but you know, most of those videos now, they just concentrate on people having accidents with those really expensive models, you know, and it's always $50,000 smashed to pieces in 2 seconds, you know, and you see 1 or 2, 3, 4, and you think, nah, I don't want to see this anymore. Somebody's misery, you know. They put a lot of money, a lot of effort and a lot of time, you know, into those models just to see them smashed to pieces. No, it's okay once or twice to watch that, and you know, you then reflect how much work went into it and how much of it's now gone. But yeah, I don't like to watch those videos anymore. I like to see the videos of a very, very nice machine, very well flown and going fast with lots of jet noise. That's how I like them, Mike. Back to you.
Yeah, Roger, Roger. Well, first of all, I just want to tell you that those videos with all the crashes, I was in purpose looking for them and watching them over and over again in order to learn what not to do when you have a mistake, in order to learn the mistakes from others instead of doing them myself and crashing my airplanes, and I learned a lot. Trust me when I'm saying to you, I learned tons of things from all those videos, and I was waiting for them when I was flying. If you want to see some great machinery and great flying, I have a friend here in Israel. He's actually a very known RC airplane pilot in the world. He's been invited for all kinds of air shows all around the world, including China and United States and Britain, everywhere. He was going all around the world. He was in Germany about a month or two ago. There was a big RC airplane show and big RC airplane event. It's called Jets and Props or something like this. He was invited there to fly some new models. You can look him up on YouTube. His name is Lior Zahavi. I can spell it for you. It's Lima, India, Oscar, Romeo, Zulu, Alpha, Hotel, Alpha, Victor, Yankee. Again, Lima, India, Oscar, Romeo, Zulu, Alpha, Hotel, Alpha, Victor, Yankee. He's a great pilot for RC airplanes. You can look him up on YouTube. Trust me, you will enjoy it. Believe me, you will enjoy it. Every single flight is like a masterpiece. Over.
Yeah, just made a note of that. Leo, Lima, India, Oscar, Romeo, Zahavi, Zulu, Alpha, Hotel, Alpha, Victor, Yankee. I'll definitely look him up. I'll tell you what I do. It's normally late in the evening when it's time for bed. I normally watch a few videos on YouTube, and I'll be sure, maybe this evening actually, to look him up and see what he does. And oh yeah, of course, I'll report back next time I speak to you, Mike. I'll report back and let you know I'll let you know what I think of him. But it sounds very, very interesting, and it's a fantastic hobby. As I say, I do have an aircraft in my garage. It is only a trainer. You know, it's not a complicated aircraft to fly, but I just don't get the time. In fact, I'm not that interested anymore. You know, I've had the cars, I've had boats, I've had all sorts, and I think it's like many of these hobbies. You know, they all involve radio in some way, and so radio controlled models are just another way of indulging in the radio and building it yourself, etc. I mean, one of my other hobbies that also involves radio is metal detecting. You know, I don't often go out, but I enjoy a nice day out in the countryside. I ask a farmer's permission, and if he says I can walk up and down his fields, then that's fantastic, you know, and I just sweep the fields. Sometimes I find nothing. Sometimes, or most of the times, all I find is rubbish, mainly steel and iron, broken ploughshares, horseshoes, that sort of thing, and other pieces of scrap metal. Very, very rarely do I find anything valuable, but we do find Roman stuff now and again, and I find a lot of bullets, you know, musket bullets, pistol shot from hundreds of years ago, you know, where people would stand and have a duel, or they've had a battle somewhere. And yeah, it's interesting, but I'm not serious about it, so I don't go out that often. And in fact, the farmers now here, they've just started the harvest now. So where my mum lives out in the countryside, all of the fields around her, I noticed last week, they've all now been cut, so that the fields are getting ready to be turned over for the winter. So it'll be time soon for me to go and ask those farmers if I can detect on their land and use my metal detector. So using radio again, but it's a funny, crazy world that we live in there, Mike. Back to you.
Yeah, Roger. I just wanted to, I forgot to tell you about your aircraft that is lying on your garage. Usually, I can't tell you what to do, but usually if the situation were like this in here, people are just making somebody happy. We will take this model and go to one of the closest airfields and make some newbie happy guy and give it to him as a present. Trust me, people will be happy to receive airplane, no matter what condition it is, and doesn't matter if you made it yourself or not. It's even better if you made it yourself. Somebody will learn from it and somebody will enjoy it. If you cannot sell it, I would just give it as a present. About the metal detecting, yeah, it's very interesting, but it's not really common in Israel. Usually the metal detectors guy are walking on the seashore and looking for some gold, some tourists left behind. No more than that. Otherwise, you will always find something in this land. There were too many wars here, and the whole land is filled with metal, so it will be really hard to find anything very important or interesting. Otherwise, you go to the mountains. There you can find some interesting historical things. A lot of things were found in Israeli mountains in the south of Israel. There you can do, but you have to have a very good vehicle, 4x4 Jeep or something. Otherwise, you will not be able to get off the road at all. It's very harsh terrain, pretty harsh to drive on or walk on. People are go to vacations there. There are many cabins. You can go and rent some cabin, but lately it's pretty dangerous, as you can know, and I don't want to speak about it. HI. Back to you, Mike 0, Juliet Charlie Foxtrot 4x5 IC.
I totally understand what you're saying about this situation, and that's absolutely fine. It's just great to be able to speak to you, and you don't have those restrictions that they had in Ukraine a few years ago when the trouble started there, and they weren't allowed to transmit. At least you can still do that, and the fact that I'm speaking to you means that you're safe, and that's good. That's good, Mike. Yeah, I quite hear what you're saying about the giving away the aircraft, and you know, I thought that some time ago. I did think that maybe I would just find someone who wants to start in the hobby of radio controlled aircraft and maybe just say to him, look, there you go, because I just know that the first thing they're going to do is crash it. I mean, I did my first ever one in the 1980s. I think I just finished building it. I taxied it quite a lot just to get used to it. More so, I was getting used to the aircraft coming towards me, going away from me. So I did all of that on the ground. Now, I'd used radio controlled cars and radio controlled boats, so I was pretty confident. Anyway, I took this aircraft and I got a few hops off the ground and made a few landings. So, you know, just a metre, maybe less than a metre off the ground, just a short hop, maybe 20-25 metres, just to get the feel of it. And then I thought, right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take off. I'm going to climb to about maybe 20-30 metres, bank it to the left, fly it in a circle, bring it into land, and then do it again, but in the other direction. And it was really funny. I had some friends with me as well, so I got it going. It come off the ground. It went up very, very nicely. I banked it to the left about 40-45 degrees. It started to come round, and then that was it. The wing came off. It was held on by rubber bands. I'm sure you know the construction. Held on by rubber bands. And the wing came off. The rest of the aircraft just went straight vertical into the ground. And the wing took a few seconds or so to flutter very, very gently. So the only thing left from it was the wing. That was the wing was fine when it finally landed after just floating to the ground, but the rest of the aircraft, a loud scream, a buzz, a crunch, and that was it. It was destroyed. But that was my first time with a radio controlled aircraft, and yeah, I remember it like it was yesterday. And as for metal detecting, you say, you know, the amount of stuff that you find in Israel due to wars. You know what, where I live in the southeast of England and in Kent, when I go metal detecting around there, I also find a lot of war material, but from World War II, 1939, 1945. A lot of it is anti-aircraft shell fragments. So I find a lot of copper and bronze and brass from those shells that, you know, that the soldiers in the evenings were firing up into the sky. So I find a lot of that. And the fuses that are on the top, you know, the aluminium fuse head that goes on the top of it, and you find that. And also I find a lot of 303 and 20 millimeter shell cases from the aircraft. So when the fighters were up there fighting the German bombers, I find a lot of that brass that has obviously been ejected from the machine guns and the cannons on those aircraft. And of course they fall to the ground, and you know, back then no one was interested, and now you find them like 6 centimeters to about 15 centimeters under the ground, and it gets to the point where you think, oh no, not another bullet case, not another shell case, oh, not more fragments. But you know, if you know where to look, Roman, Saxon, that sort of stuff, you know, stuff that's onwards of 2,000 years old, it can be found. But you can't in this country just go digging anywhere you like with a metal detector. You do need to ask permissions, etc. And then once you get the permission, it's generally okay, you know. And you know, if you have a lot of patience and you don't mind digging up a lot of rubbish, then you do find those one thing, you know, that might take you 5 hours to find, that beats, you know, the 5 hours of finding rubbish when you find that one thing, and then you can go home happy at the end of the day. As I say, I don't go out often, maybe a few times a year. I've got friends that is their hobby, like amateur radio is now my hobby. Their hobby is metal detecting, and so you know, they will go out and they say, oh, I had a fantastic weekend, I found this, I found that, you know, I found hammered coins, silver coins, that sort of thing. You think that's fantastic, but then they tell you, but I was out for 10 hours in the boiling sun, or the sideways rain on the winds, that sort of thing, in the freezing cold, you know, and I was out for 10 hours digging until you find that one thing. But you know, it's a hobby, and it stops us getting bored. It stops us just sitting there watching the TV set, drinking beer, which is another thing I like to do as well. Mike, back to you.
Yeah, Roger. I completely understand the haste to go and look for things with metal detector, and I completely know what you're talking about. Is just that one small thing that you find after 10 hours of boiling sun or strong winds and the rain. That one small coin sometimes worth that. It's worth the 10 hours walking and fighting the weather and sweating and working hard with your feet and your hands. But it's worth it. You come home, you clean it up, you put it behind glass, and you enjoy watching it and remember how you went 10 hours and how you were looking for it and how you were digging it out. It's just worth it. I completely understand it. It's like people that gather stamps, postal stamps. Me and my father were doing it when I was 12 or 13. We were looking for rare stamps in the Soviet Union. It was just a hunt. We were driving all around the city and going to people that are collecting stamps and going to shops and going to post offices to look for the stamps they have there. It was just crazy. It's just the same. I completely understand it. No problem at all. About your aircraft, I absolutely know what you're talking about because I was just the same. I crashed my first airplane. It was Alpha 40 trainer that I bought second-hand from a friend. The first day I crashed it, just as you said, I took it 45 degrees left, and the rubber was thrown away, and the wing came very slow down. The whole other part of the plane went down just like a carrot inside the ground. All I found is the wing and the tail of the plane. It was the elevator and the rudder and the wing. All the rest were inside the ground, and it was unrecoverable. So I took plans of a plane with a friend, and we built a new fuselage, completely new fuselage from balsa wood, and I used that elevator and the rudder, and I used that same wing that I found, and it was absolutely okay. So I built a new plane, came another day to the airfield with a friend, and I made the same day 24 liftoffs and 24 landings, just one after another. Go up, go down, go up, go down. And it was like crazy. Anyway, I really enjoyed speaking with you, Mark, and I really hope I could continue, but I have to go now. I have something to do in 4 minutes. I have a meeting at work. I'm actually at home and I have to connect to a Zoom meeting at work. So I really enjoyed our conversation, and I really hope to meet you again. If you want to try 40 meters or any other band with me, just look up on my qrz.com for my email. Just send me an email and I'll try to make it up and to connect with you. So I wish you a great evening and good luck DXing. I really hope lots of DXs will come over to your way. Have a great evening, best 76, and shalom from me. Mike 0, JCF 4X5IC, 73, shalom.
Yeah, 4X5ICM0 JCF. Mike, an absolute pleasure, and nearly 45 minutes rag chewing. Fantastic. Exactly the sort of ham radio that I like. It's what interests me. And just for your logbook, just make a note of a YouTube channel called M0JCF Ham Radio. I've recorded this QSO. I'll put that on later today, and you can hear what you sound like on my radio in England. Enjoy your Zoom meeting, and you take care. 73 to everyone around you. Be safe, be good, and good luck. Shalom. Bye bye.
Thank you very much, Mark. I already opened your page and I will be refreshing it to wait up for our conversation. Again, thank you very much. I really enjoyed our conversation. 73, shalom, good luck.
Yeah, good luck, bye-bye. QRZ, Mike 0, Juliet, Charlie, Foxtrot, southeast of England.
Echo Alpha 8, Charlie Whiskey Alpha.
Yeah, Echo Alpha 8, Charlie Whiskey Alpha. Very good afternoon to you, old man. My name is Mark. That's Mike Alpha Romeo Kilo, and I am 20 kilometres southeast from the city of London. I'll give you a report on the next over, but you are nice and loud and clear. Echo Alpha 8, CWA M0 JCF.
Hello, Mark. Hello, my friend. Thank you for new contact in 10 bands. Fine night, you report today. Fine night in La Palma Island. My name is Alexis.
Very good afternoon again, Alexis, on La Palma. Thank you for the contact on 10 metres. Yes, you are 5 and 5 to me. Thank you for the 5 and 9, Alexis. You are 5 and 5. My radio today is the IC-7300 by ICOM, a very popular radio. And I'm running just 100 watts. That's 100 whiskies, and my antenna is a 5/8 wave vertical antenna. Nothing special, nothing big there, Alexis. Back to you.
QSL, no problem. Good signal, good audio today in La Palma Island in this moment in my station. Thank you for the contact, Mark. Good DX and the 73. Fuerte abrazo, amigo.
Yeah, no problem, Alexis. Always a pleasure to say hello to you. And I do say, Alexis, we have worked. This is number 10. This is number 10 for us. And I see we have worked 10 and 12 metres many times. So maybe next time we'll work 15 metres and we'll work our way through the bands. You take care, 73, and gracias, mi amigo. And hasta la vista.
Hasta la vista. Un abrazo. Ciao.
Ciao. QRZ, Mike 0, Juliet, Charlie, Foxtrot. Nothing is heard. CQ10, Mike 0, Juliet, Charlie, Foxtrot. Mike 0, Juliet, Charlie, Foxtrot. Mike 0, Juliet, Charlie, Foxtrot, calling 10. CQ10, CQ